In today's video, I have 26 art resolutions for the new year that will greatly improve your watercolor painting, drawing, and mixed media work. So just a bit of fun in today's video. I thought it'd be fun to do some art resolutions for next year. Obviously, you can pick and choose these as they suit you, but it might just give you a few things to think about. At number one, we're going to use up our art supplies. So remember that buying is not creating. What I like to do is sort of to shop mindfully and do this not just for art, but for everything. So I just have a little list at home of the things I need. So if you need a size 10 brush, by all means shop for one, but just buying supplies because it makes you feel like you're making more art. I think we all fall into that trap with every aspect of our life. So remember that buying is not creating. Let's use up some of those things we've bought. For number two, let's clear out and declutter our spaces this year. So let's go through our stuff and see if there's anything we're not using. I remember years ago, I was sorting out all my art equipment. I found this lovely pot of marker pens and not a single one worked anymore. They were all dried up. Let's get that stuff out of our spaces. If there's stuff that we simply don't use, let's decide either to use it or to pass it on to someone who will appreciate it. For number three, let's make a dedicated art space or certainly a dedicated workstation. Now this could be a whole room, it could be a table, or maybe you don't even have room for that. I used to keep everything in a storage box, one of those sort of DIY boxes where you opened everything out. It had little compartments. I could carry it to classes, but also I could take it to my table and set up when I didn't have anywhere within the household that I could work. Remember that everyone else in your household, if you have other people in your household, they're not more important than you, unless they're cats, of course. Cats are more important than you, but everyone else has their hobbies and you deserve to have yours. So set up a little space where you can work, and if that isn't possible, at least gather all of your stuff into a nice box or bag where everything's on hand and you can just pick it up and create. At number four, let's stop using substandard supplies. So I never like to see complete beginners buying really expensive stuff. It's just not necessary when you're going to make a lot of mistakes. But there is a level below which, if you have really rubbish supplies, it's going to affect what you make. Prioritize brushes, paper and paints. Cheap pencils work just fine. Although for watercolor pencils, cheap pencils don't work just fine. And that's the trick. Have less stuff. So a set of 5 really good watercolor pencils is much better than a set of 60 that look pretty in the box but really don't have any pigment. At number 5, I bang on about this all the time. If you're a watercolor artist, learn to stretch your paper. Not only will it give you a fantastic surface to work on, it'll make the painting process actually easier because the paper will be less bumpy. It's quick, it's easy, and I have a video that will show you exactly how to do it. I'll link that in the description of this video. At number 6, whatever medium you work in, let's learn to draw this year. It isn't impossible. It will greatly improve whatever sort of artwork you're doing. Remember, painting is just drawing with a brush. So tracing will only get you so far and you'll hit sort of a ceiling where your work can't improve any further. Not only do I have a whole playlist full of really easy drawing tips, I also have a paid drawing course if you're interested in that will take you through every stage, right from materials all the way through to creating finished pieces of work. Learning to draw will improve your work so much. A big mistake I see all the time from beginners. Let's vow this year that we're not going to start a painting on top of a bad drawing. Paint will only draw attention to your mistakes. It won't improve them. If you're not happy with the drawing, do another one. Don't start painting on top of your mistakes. At number 8, let's learn colour mixing. It's not as hard as you would think, and you don't have to understand colour wheels. I've actually got a method of understanding the primaries, the secondaries, all of the colours that you can mix. It's much easier. I use more of a family tree method, i.e. this and this adds up to this. Parent colours and children colours, if you like. I'll link that video in the description of this one. It's free to watch, and I promise after watching it, you'll have a much better understanding of colour mixing. At number 9, let's resolve to swatch our art materials. You might have noticed by now that the colours on the outside of the tube Or even in the palette, the colours on the tips of your pencil, they don't line up very much with the pigment, and that's not the fault of the manufacturers actually. It's just very hard to show what one medium looks like when you're using a different medium on the packaging. So let's swatch our art materials. It's going to help you with your colour mixing, because if you don't know what you've got, you don't know how to mix it. At number 10 is finish your work. Let's all resolve to finish our paintings and drawings. It can seem halfway through that everything's just gone wrong and it's just a waste of time to continue, but there's lots of reasons why you should finish your work. There's things that you do only at the end of a painting, and unless you practice them, you're not going to get good at them. There's also the fact that every painting goes through an ugly stage in the middle, particularly watercolours where you only put the stronger colours in at the end. I can't tell you how many times I've got halfway through a piece of work and thought, well, this is a waste of time, this is going to be awful. By the time I get to the end, it's a perfectly good painting. Always finish your work, whether it turns out good or not. Going through that process is going to help you to become a better artist. At number 11, you're going to resolve to stop rescuing your work with outlines and pen. Now, you know who you are. Some people just have a tendency to do this, and it's usually because the painting itself doesn't have good tonal contrast. So what are you going to do? You're going to outline everything. There's nothing wrong with working in pen and wash, in working with ink outlines, but you want to start your painting with that in mind. So if you didn't start out wanting to use an ink pen and you're grabbing an ink pen halfway through, it's a sure sign that your tonal contrast is out. You want to work on that, not always be rescuing your work with pen. Kind of works, but again, you'll never progress as an artist if you do this all the time. For number 12, let's resolve to get our work organised. You want to catalogue and photograph your artwork, even if you're not a professional artist. And there are lots of reasons for this. It'll help you to find things, it'll help you to see your progress. And even if your cataloguing is just the year that you made it, or perhaps the year and the month, it's going to help you to see your progress, it's going to help you to find your work. And if you should give your work away to a friend, you've got a photographic record of it. And if the worst should happen and something like your house burns down, you may at least have that in a cloud storage so you can look at the work that you created. It's a really good idea to catalogue and photograph your work. I still have a memory of paintings I made when I first started painting that I gave away to friends. I don't have any record of that now, and I really wish I'd taken a photograph. At number 13, I want you to resolve to say no sometimes. I'm talking about commissions. The amount of times I see amateur artists take commissions for things they're really not up to, and they just get in an awful, awful, stressy mess. They're asked to paint their neighbour's dog, to paint their granddaughter, whatever it is. Remember that professional commission artists nearly always stick to one subject. So you'll have people that paint bridal bouquets, you'll have people that paint horses, you'll have people that paint houses. They very rarely do all of these things, and it really isn't fair of people to ask you to do something that you're not very competent in yet, and it's just going to stress you out. Remember, you can always say no. So we're halfway through, and at this point in the video, I'd love to encourage you to press that like button. Remember to subscribe. This channel is fully approved by cats. And if you're watching this video when it's just come out, I currently have my end of year sale. It's the only time of year when I have all of my art courses on sale. You can get any of them at 30% off. You'll find all the details in the description of this video. Now let's make some more resolutions. At number 14, for those of you that do take commissions, you're going to resolve not to take commission without a deposit and without agreeing how much you're going to be paid. Especially in the UK, this can be very embarrassing for us. We don't always like talking about money. You agree to do something for a friend, you're not even sure, are they going to pay me? Maybe they'll give me a little bit of money. And you finish the painting and you're not sure whether to ask for anything. You just get in a big old mess like this. Now, what professionals do is they always take 50% up front. And if the thing that you're doing can't be resold, for instance, if you did a landscape and somebody didn't pay you, you could perhaps sell that landscape to someone else. But if you did a painting of someone's child, no one else is going to want that. So in that case, you would take 100% up front. Doesn't matter if you're an amateur, doesn't matter if you're just doing this with friends, it's going to stop you from falling out with people, and you want to show them every stage of the work. So when you do the initial sketch, you want to show them, keep in touch with them, keep asking them what colours, what size, what rotation, because otherwise you're going to get to the end of the commission and everything is unclear and it's not going to be what they wanted at all. If I had money for every beginner I've seen get in trouble with starting commissions and not agreeing the price up front, I would be very rich indeed, and I'm not very rich. At number 15, you're going to resolve not to point out the bad parts of your paintings. If somebody pays you a compliment, you're not going to say, oh, thanks so much, but I really messed up the sky. Professional artists never do this. Yes, we make mistakes. Are we going to point them out to other people? No, we're not. Allow people to like your work if they like it. They don't need to know about all of the mistakes that you think or perhaps have made, because art is subjective anyway. If they like it, just say thank you. For number 16, I want you to resolve to work mostly only from photographs or from real life. Don't be painting other people's paintings. I often see this with students. They might bring a calendar to me or something. Look, this picture, Michelle, I'm going to have a go at painting this. I do not recommend this. Now, although in some, fine art colleges, they might perhaps practice doing an old master's painting, and that's more about the techniques and figuring out the layering and the glazes and how they worked and things like that. But for the average amateur artist, you're missing a whole lot of information with someone else's painting. That person worked from a photograph or from real life, and they decided what to include and what to exclude. They've already made those decisions. It's not going to work out well if you copy their work. At number 17, very important this one, you're going to resolve to stop talking negatively about your own work. Now, some of you know that I do martial arts, and if I was to say to my instructor something like, I can't do a side kick, he would say to me, you can't do a side kick yet. And it's exactly the same. Don't say to yourself or to other people, I can't draw. Say to yourself and to other people, I am learning to draw. These things negatively affect our brain, and it's going to affect your progress. If you tell yourself or other people you can't do something, you're probably going to be right. At number 18, we're going to resolve to stop waiting for other people's validation. As a professional artist of many decades, I can tell you other people's validation rarely arrives. Now, of course, somebody at some stage may say they like one of your paintings. People say they like my paintings, but people also say they don't like my paintings and don't think that it's a matter of skill. And if you only get good enough, everyone will like your work. And there comes a stage where if you get too good, people just think you're being a bit cocky anyway, and they're just like, oh, look at her showing off, posting that in the group. Other people's validation is nothing to do with you. Stop waiting for it. It won't arrive. I had an ex-boyfriend who thought Van Gogh was rubbish. At number 19, you're going to vow to learn composition. Composition was the last thing that I learned really, and I was much better at things like colour mixing and drawing. But the problem is that without composition, nothing works properly at all. It doesn't matter how good you are from a technical standpoint, if the composition of your painting is off, it's not going to look quite right. It's just going to be something missing that makes that scene look attractive. Luckily for you, I've made a video all about the biggest mistakes you can make with composition. I'll link that in the description of this one. It'll make this whole murky subject seem a little bit clearer. At number 20, you're going to stop rushing to finish your work. Professional artists never do this. We step back, we take breaks, we think about things. We go for a little walk and we come back to our work. This often happens in a class when you just want to get a finished painting, but you'd be much better not doing that because rushing always leads to disaster. I often think of beginners as race car drivers. They're going to take that painting and they're going to drive at full speed until it crashes into a wall. Take some breaks, take a little time to think about what your picture needs next. At number 21, something I was trying to get all of my students to do when I taught real life classes, and that's to try out their colours and techniques on a separate piece of paper or canvas or whatever you're using. Try those things out before you put them on your painting. Don't mix up a sky colour and think, oh, that might be right, that might look okay, and chuck it on your painting. Try things out first. At number 22, why not resolve to take a class this year? Now, I have lots. I have free ones, I have paid ones. Other people have classes. There's also classes in real life if those are available in your location. You can learn all sorts of things from YouTube. You can learn all sorts of things on your own, but taking classes really gets some in-depth learning. And although I've got over 700 free videos on this channel, I never go quite into as much detail and as much precision as I'll do in my classes. When I'm not worried about watch time or people clicking I'm just worried about giving them the absolute best in tuition. Resolve this year to take a class. It doesn't matter if you haven't got money, there are free ones available. I have a free mini course and several other free classes. You'll find them linked in the description of this video. At number 23, I want you to resolve this year to find time to do your art. If you just find that you just never have enough time to paint or draw, it can be that your home situation is just too busy and too chaotic. There are just too many people coming and going and too many things that you need to do. So you need to try and carve yourself out a space if you can. It can be a really good idea to get together with someone else. Now, it doesn't necessarily, you may not have any other friends that paint and draw. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. You could say to a friend who does crochet, for example, once a week, let's just get together for a couple of hours, have a nice cup of tea and sit and have a chat and do some work together. And I found actually that in periods of my life when I just could not make myself create any work at all, booking a class or a course where I physically had to go out and do that, or booking an appointment time with someone else that's a friend, is the only thing that will get it done. At number 24, I encourage you to find a community. You may have no other friends that do art. I used to joke about this for years and years. I didn't have any friends that were artists. Eventually, I made some of them exhibiting and things like that and running art classes and art courses. But for a long time, it was just me. It's really nice to find other people. You can find them through classes, through craft clubs, through community meetups, or even online in places like Reddit and Facebook. I have 2 Facebook groups. I have one that's just general for all artists, and I have one that's for my students. You'll find links to those in the description of this video. At number 25, we all do it. Let's resolve this year to stop comparing ourselves to others. It is the most literal waste of time I could think of. It won't improve your work at all to think about the person that sat next to you or the person that you saw on a Facebook group. Concentrate on your own work. You don't know anything about other people's circumstances. You might have been painting for a year and they might have been painting for 30 years. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. You may be wonderful with colour and they may be wonderful with drawing. It really is a fool's errand to compare yourself to other artists. This coming year, just concentrate on yourself. And at 26, my last resolution this year is to be mindful about your work, to actually enjoy the process. There can be so much rushing and so much feeling of wanting to create a certain thing and so much disappointment when you don't like the result at the end. But really, we should be enjoying every part of painting and drawing. We should be enjoying just the feel of the paint on the brush, without worrying too much about the end result. If you do a painting that hasn't worked out, you haven't wasted your time, you've spent some time creating, and that's so good for your mental health and for your well-being generally. So this year, remember to enjoy the journey. So do let me know in the comments what you found most useful. Perhaps you have some of your own art resolutions that you'd like to share with the community. I'd also love to know what sort of videos you'd like to see from me on this channel coming up in the next year, so do let me know. Remember that all of the other videos and other things that I've spoken about on this channel will be linked in the description of this video. If you pop down there, you can grab all sorts of free stuff too. And I'll put up another video that you might like to watch right now.